Okay, so we're back, and my name's Michelle Fitzgerald, and the director and training director of the Sensar Learning Center. And we're talking about heart smarts today. We're specifically talking about, if you watched video 1, if you didn't, you should go back and watch the very first video clip that goes with, this is segment 2. On this topic, where we're talking about the magnetic field that is generated by the physical activity of the heart, literally the beating of the heart. The beating of the heart is a bioelectric machine. It's the whole body is a bioelectric machine producing all kinds of electrical and magnetic waves, but the heart is the biggest, strongest electromagnetic piece of equipment in the body, and it produces a very, very strong electrical currents and a magnetic field in relationship to those electrical waves. So as you heard in video 1, it was the impairment of this field. Think of the field projecting out from the heart, and it creates a magnetic field, the electrical waves radiating out, creating a magnetic field around the heart. And a good analogy for this would be to, and one of the ways I figured out what was going on with me, in a state of desperation, I literally begged for a picture from anywhere, any source of the universal information bank out there that I needed to see. I couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. I needed to see, show me a picture so I can understand what's wrong with me, because if I can just see what's wrong with me, I can probably figure out how to fix it, but I just can't figure out what's wrong with me. I was instantly, boom, just like that, a flash. I was shown me. And the version of me had a very, very fine like field around me, very, very close to the body, and I was shown the Earth right next to me, and the nice magnetosphere that surrounds the planet. And I looked at me, and I looked at the magnetosphere of the planet, and I said, oh my gosh, I said, what's the current condition of my electromagnetic field? I had not checked that. I have all these abilities and ways to check the physical and energetic well-being of a human system, but I had not thought of checking that one very basic thing about myself, and that's the quality of the electromagnetic fields that are created by the body, the sheer strength of those fields. And lo and behold, I found out that my field, the electromagnetic field of my heart had dropped to 4-5% of its optimal function. And that's what was wrong with me. And I said, wow, I've got to figure out, and I was using dowsing at the time. I was muscle testing. I said, is that 100% of the cause of what has been going on with all these problems? And I got, with my muscle testing, yes, that's 100% of what's going on. And I said, oh my gosh. And so I went about the business of figuring out how to correct that, and I have figured that out. But in the process of all my investigation and in healing myself, and also helping many, many other people do this as well, I really honed into 3 areas that I think this field is helping us with in life. And these areas are so crucial to our well-being and our happiness and contentment in life that all of a sudden this becomes, man, we need to manage this because we don't want to give up these things. So here are the 3 things that I think, the 3 primary categories that I think this field has all along been helping all of us with. I think that in the past couple of decades, there has just been I think people over time, over history, have had problems with this field due to various circumstances. But I think in the last probably 10 years especially, there has been the development of a lot of things. It's almost like a cascade of circumstances in our lives, as in our experience as human beings, that have cascaded. And it's like the straw that broke the camel's back. And it all of a sudden, the pressure on the sheer energetics of the heart they've just gone off the charts. And I think this has happened very rapidly. I think it's affecting far more people than just me and the others who have come to my doorstep that I've been able to, share with them information on how they might help themselves. I've developed training programs that people can take, that they can learn how to help themselves, that type of thing. I think that huge percentages of the human population are experiencing some level, if not all of the human population, experiencing some level of impairment with this magnetic field of the heart, the electromagnetics of the heart. It is interesting to me that heart disease, physical heart disease, I'm talking about kind of an energetic heart dis-ease. But physical heart disease is the #1 cause of death globally on our planet right now. I don't know if you know that, but that's a fact. #1 cause of death on our planet. There may be some relationship between, I think there is actually a relationship between the quality of the energetics behind the heart and within the heart and that physical organ that is so vital to our actual physical survival. But the 3 categories I want to talk to you about today that I really know in some cases and believe strongly in others that these 3 categories are hugely impacted if the field is impacted. So the first one is health. And I think that one of the things that this field is doing, you heard my story that I almost overnight developed severe chronic fatigue, massive levels of pain. Truly, I would wake up some mornings and it would feel so, well, first of all, I had trouble sleeping on top of everything else. It dramatically disrupted my sleep patterns. But I would wake up some mornings and I would hurt so badly it felt like someone had come in while I was sleeping and just beat me all over with a baseball bat. That's how much I hurt. I would stand there sometimes just trying to stay as still as possible as I got up because I couldn't even believe how much I hurt and that a person could survive that. But anyway, bottom line, I think that this field all along has been creating a type of shielding mechanism for us when it's in good shape that protects us from a number of things. I think it protects us from germs and bacteria. I can't prove that, but I think that, and intuitively I get it's protecting us from things like germs and bacteria. I think that it is protecting us from, and I'll go so far as to say I know it's protecting us from invasions of the psychic variety, penetrations of negative thoughts and feelings into our energy systems that can be very impacting on physical health. I've been studying this now, what I call energetic exchanges between human beings and how it impacts different areas of our lives, including health, for the past 20 years. And when this shield goes down, it's almost like the Starship Enterprise. We have no shielding. Get the shields up, Scotty. We have no protection from invasive energies of the minuscule variety or the subtle energy variety, like germs, bacteria. They're very physical, but we can't see them. So we don't have any protection from invaders of the invisible variety, you could say. And it can impair your health in a wide range of ways. I think this field is also very much protecting us from, or helping us maintain, from a positive perspective, helping us maintain mental and emotional stability and clarity. That when the shields go down, when the field gets too weak, and it can be weakened to a significant degree before you'll start to have major impact, measurable impact in your life. But if it collapses to a major degree, you become very susceptible to, again, the thoughts and feelings of other people. Not just invasive types of feelings that actually can transfer or be photographed kind of from one person to another, but where you're just kind of mingling with other people's thoughts and feelings very, very easily, far more easily than is healthy. A degree of separation in that regard is a very, very healthy thing. We have a massive amount of thought energy that is created by the species as a whole. It's called the collective consciousness. And when lots and lots and lots and lots of people think the same thoughts at the same time, which is happening very often these days because of our technology, because people can communicate very, very quickly with each other. So they're thinking a lot of the same thoughts at the same time. And a lot of those thoughts that they're thinking and a lot of the feelings that they're having, that the collective is having, they're very, very negative. They're full of fear, anger, lack energy, and that you can think of that when it happens as almost like a shock wave that goes across something called the Earth grid system. This is some of the subtle energy work that we do with Sensar. We work with the Earth grid system. It's a subtle energy network that connects all life forms on the planet. It's also a communication mechanism. And thoughts and feelings travel across the grid system. So when the collective consciousness is holding a lot of the same negative thoughts and feelings, it's like a shock wave that goes across this grid system. And under normal circumstances, we would have, it's kind of like a solar flare. You remember I was shown the picture of me with this collapsed field and the Earth with its nice, strong magnetosphere? When those shock waves from the collective go across the grid system, it hits us, and if we've got a nice strong magnetic field, kind of like the Earth when a solar flare hits it, we just like this, and then the field goes back to normal. And we're not impacted by the babble of the collective, basically. When the field drops, you're hearing what the collective consciousness is thinking, and that's not a good thing. Thoughts and feelings, the thoughts and feelings we hold create our reality. That's how manifestation works. And you begin holding the thoughts and feelings of others unbeknownst to you, and you can't differentiate. And it doesn't matter whose thoughts and feelings you hold. They could be your own. They could be the thoughts and feelings of the collective consciousness. What you hold is what will show up in your manifest reality. So having the field helps you manage more easily the thoughts, the mind activity, and the heart activity, the emotional activity that's going on in the human system, the human energetic system. Kind of like a Faraday cage. Keeps the stuff we don't want to hear out and keeps the good stuff in. Thirdly, manifestation. I mentioned that this is the other way I think this field is helping us. I mentioned earlier that I've been in the manifestation business all these years, and I lost my manifestation abilities. How did that happen? Well, two things I think were really going on with that. Number one, this field, because it does protect us from, you could consider it psychic invasion, but it's more than that. It's even, I think it even creates a degree of buffering with background radiation, electromagnetic stuff, activity in the atmosphere, noise, subtle noises in the environment. Again, it's like a Faraday cage. And I think when we lose that Faraday cage effect and too much interference gets into our system, into our mind and emotional system, that it creates negative interference patterns with the positive thoughts and feelings that when we're doing conscious manifestation, conscious creator stuff, purposefully trying to control what we create in our reality, we need to have in order to do it successfully, you need to have very clear what are called coherent thought and brainwave and heartwave patterns. You need that combination to be truly a master manifester. So we've got all this stuff invading the system, and I think it's creating something like negative interference. And it prevents the heart waves and the brain waves from achieving the level of coherence we need to send out clear signals. Think of those waves as communication mechanisms. It's how we communicate basically with the intelligences of nature that take our blueprint, our thoughts and the charge that we give it. It takes that construct, it's called a thought form, and the intelligences of nature, if we send a clear picture and we charge it with the right stuff, the intelligences of nature come in and literally wrap themselves around that and mold your reality. It's the most beautiful thing, but it can't happen if you've got all this interference in there. You can't get the coherence that you need. The other thing that happens that I discovered, and this was certainly news to me, 35 plus years in the manifestation business. I had no clue about this. The field, I believe, is acting as a type of incubation field for our focused intention. When we do create successfully a positive thought form by focusing our thoughts and feelings, I think all along this field has been, for those who are exceptional manifestors, it has been like an incubation field. The thought form is held together almost like the field is glue. The magnetic field glues the thought form together so it can stay together long enough to kind of like thump, like a thumper, and create the frequency pattern of what it is we want. And then again, the intelligences of nature help facilitate that. But without the glue, you issue forth a positive thought and it just dissipates just like this. It doesn't hold together. So, when I was at the thick of it with this problem, I know all the tricks tricks about manifestation. Didn't know this, but I know about maintaining this field. But I knew all the other tricks. I was doing affirmations. I was pulling heart energies up. I was just doing everything right. And I could not shift anything. Why? Because as soon as I issued forth those feelings, as soon as I issued forth the right mental pictures, everything would just dissipate. It would just dissipate. I had no holding power whatsoever. So, and it also, one other thing I'll add in here, it becomes increasingly difficult with a weak field to, one of the other weird things about it is that it becomes very difficult to feel. It takes a huge amount of effort to bring up in your heart and feel deep what I call heart-based emotions. Those are the emotions like passion and like joy and like, wow, that's awesome. Those are the emotions that vitalize thought forms and turn them from a static state into what I call a living thought form. And once they become living thought forms is when all the forces of creation get together to turn that into a living reality. So again, the effect on the heart is just incredible of this field collapsing. The heart, interestingly, is part of its creation, but it's not just what we're running through the heart that creates the field. That can have an impact, and I'll talk a little bit about that in yet a third video I'm going to do for you. But it's a lot of external stuff hitting these subtle fields of the heart that are hugely impacting the quality of this magnetic field. So again, health, mind, and emotions, us being able to deal with our own stuff. We got enough of our own stuff going on, let alone dealing with, the problems of the collective consciousness running through our mind and emotional states. And manifestation, hugely impacting on our capacity to manifest that which we want to realize in our life and experience in our lives. Now, I'm going to do one more little video for you, and I'm going to go over some, not all, because there are so many, but I'm just going to give you some highlights of some of the very common causes right now that are influencing this problem, that are stimulating this problem, and just give you a few practical suggestions as what you might do to overcome these particular challenging situations. And so I'll see you in just a few minutes. We'll go on to the third topic.